Guys, today we've got a wild, shocking story. A former top-level agent from the Drug Enforcement Administration, someone who once helped lead U.S. efforts against drug cartels, now stands accused of helping one of the most violent criminal organizations on the planet. This is not speculation. This is an official indictment unsealed yesterday by the United States Attorney's Office for the Southern District of New York. The names are Paul Campo and Robert Sensi. Today I'll break down everything, what prosecutors say happened, what they're charging them with, and why this could be one of the biggest betrayals in the fight against drug cartels ever recorded. Before we dive in, I want to thank today's sponsor, Checkmate Mags. Whether it's for competition or defense, Checkmate has been making reliable American-made magazines for over 4 decades. With their expertise in high-quality manufacturing and a never-satisfied approach to innovation and refinement, Checkmate is the leading provider for high-quality aftermarket and OEM Freedom Seed loaders for many makes and models. Each Checkmate mag is 100% developed and manufactured here in the United States of America and is backed by a lifetime factory warranty to ensure superior performance, reliability, quality, fit and finish, and will work with your firearm. If you think that having a dependable magazine is important, then you might want to check out Checkmate. Thank you, Checkmate, for being a sponsor of the channel. Guys and gals, support a company that supports our rights. All right, here is the DOJ's headline. Paul Campo, former DEA official, and friend Robert Sensi, agreed to launder approximately $12 million and participate in narcotics trafficking for the Jalisco New Generation Cartel, otherwise known as Cartel de Jalisco Nueva Generación, or CJNG. United States Attorney for the Southern District of New York, Jay Clayton, and the Administrator for the Drug Enforcement Administration, Terrence C. Cole, announced yesterday the unsealing of the indictment against Paul Campo and Robert Sensi with narco-terrorism, terrorism, narcotics distribution, and money laundering charges. Campo and Sensi were arrested yesterday afternoon in New York. Oh, check that. Thursday afternoon. Campo and Sensi were arrested Thursday afternoon in New York, and the case has been assigned to U.S. District Judge Paul Gardephe, G-A-R-D-E-P-H-E, whatever. As alleged, Paul Campo and Robert Sensi conspired to assist CJNG, one of the most notorious Mexican cartels that is responsible for countless deaths through violence and drug trafficking in the United States and Mexico. And that's according to U.S. Attorney Jay Clayton. This is all right from their release right here. As part of that support, the defendants laundered hundreds of thousands of dollars that they believed to be CJNG drug proceeds. They agreed to launder millions more and even agreed to use their financial expertise to facilitate cocaine trafficking right here in New York City. By participating in this scheme, Campo betrayed the mission he was entrusted with pursuing for his 25-year career with the DEA. CJNG is a violent and corrupting criminal enterprise that New Yorkers want broken. The U.S. Attorney commended the extraordinary efforts of the DEA in aggressively pursuing CJNG and those who support their deadly and corrupt efforts, no matter who they may be. Now, the indictment of former Special Agent Paul Campo sends a powerful message. Those who betray the public trust, past or present, will be held accountable to the fullest extent of the law. And that was from the DEA Administrator Terrence Cole. He also said the alleged conduct occurred after he left the DEA and was unrelated to his official duties, but any former agent who chooses to engage in criminal activity dishonors the men and women who serve with integrity and undermines the public confidence in law enforcement. He said, "We will not look the other way simply because someone once wore this badge. There is no tolerance and no excuse for this kind of betrayal." Now, according to the allegations contained in the indictment, CJNG is a Mexico-based transnational criminal group overseen by Nemesio Ruben El Mencho Osiguera Cervantes that controls a significant portion of the narcotics trafficking trade. CJNG illicitly transports cocaine, methamphetamine, fentanyl, and other controlled substances into the United States of America. CJNG also engages in money laundering and other criminal activities, including acts of violence and intimidation. And on February 20th, 2025, the United States Secretary of State designated CJNG as a foreign terrorist organization under Section 219 of the Immigration and Nationality Act, which will lead to some of the charges we'll talk about. Now, Paul Campo worked for the DEA for approximately 25 years, first as a special agent in New York and eventually rising to become a high-level DEA official, specifically the deputy chief of the Office of Financial Operations. Campo retired from the DEA about January of 2016. And in late 2024, Robert Sensi began meeting with a confidential source working at the direction of law enforcement. That source was posing as a member of CJNG. And Sensi told the informant that he had a friend who used to be in charge of DEA's financial operations who could assist CJNG by laundering narcotics proceeds and providing the informant with sensitive DEA information about sources and investigations. After these initial meetings, Campo and Sensi together met with the informant on several occasions. During these conversations, Campo and Sensi agreed to launder money for the informant, among other things, converting cash into cryptocurrency and making investments in real estate. Now, Campo and Sensi further advised the informant about fentanyl production and explored procuring commercial drones and military-grade weapons and equipment for the cartel, including AR-15 semi-automatic rifles, M4 carbines, M16 rifles, grenade launchers, and RPGs, rocket-propelled grenades, all while trying to take our stuff. As part of these discussions, Campo and Sensi often boasted and relied heavily on Campo's prior federal law enforcement experience and expertise regarding financial investigations and drug cartels. Now, regarding the drones, in one meeting, the informant explained to Campo, what we do with the drones is we put explosives on and we just send it over there and boom. In another conversation, and that was a quote from the indictment, in another conversation, the informant asked Sensi how much C4 explosive the drones could carry, to which Sensi responded, in sum and substance, approximately 6 kilograms, which is enough to, quote, blow up the whole effing I don't want to say, end quote. As part of the scheme, Campo and Sensi agreed to launder approximately $12 million of CJNG's narcotics proceeds, laundered approximately $750,000 by converting cash into cryptocurrency, and provided a payment for approximately 220 kilograms of cocaine on the understanding that the payment would trigger the distribution and sale of the narcotics worth approximately $5 million, that's street value, for which Campo and Sensi would receive directly a portion of the narcotics proceeds as profit and receive a further commission upon the laundering of the balance of the narcotics proceeds. Now, Campo is 61 years old, of Oakton, Virginia. They raided his place yesterday, as well as Sensi, who is 75, of Boca Raton, Florida. They're each charged with one count of conspiring to commit narco-terrorism, which carries a mandatory minimum sentence of 20 years in prison and a maximum sentence of life in prison. One count of conspiring to distribute and possess with intent to distribute cocaine, which carries a mandatory minimum sentence of 10 years in prison and a maximum sentence of life in prison. One count of conspiring to provide material support and resources to CJNG, a designated foreign terrorist organization, which carries a maximum sentence of 20 years in prison. And one count of conspiring to commit money laundering, which carries a maximum sentence of 20 years in prison. The maximum potential sentences in this case are prescribed by Congress and provided for informational purposes only. As with any sentencing of the defendants, as always, it's the judge who determines that stuff, right? So let's talk about the group that they're accused of aiding, the CJNG cartel here. According to the indictment, CJNG is described as one of the most notorious Mexican cartels, responsible for a huge portion of the narcotics trafficking into the United States and Mexico of cocaine, meth, fentanyl, and other dangerous controlled substances. CJNG isn't just a drug gang. In February of 2025, the U.S. Secretary of State officially, like I said, designated them as a foreign organization, a foreign terrorist organization, which means under statutes like 18 U.S.C. 2239 Bravo, providing material support and resources to CJNG is a federal terrorism offense, which is why they're throwing the books at them. I don't know. Think about the magnitude of this, guys. A deputy chief inside the DEA, the financial operations official, someone entrusted with dismantling cartel finances, allegedly flipped sides and offered his services to a top cartel. That's the betrayal of a highest order. And I will have to ask you, is this the only time he's ever done it? Or is this the only time he's been caught? Now, like I said, Campo and Sensi were arrested Thursday afternoon in New York, right after the indictment was unsealed. They appeared before a magistrate judge, which was yesterday, Friday, and both pleaded not guilty and were ordered held without bail. Some of the allegations are, I mean, you heard them, they're pretty jarring, man. Converting cash into cryptocurrency, talking about weapons and explosives, drone-based attacks. And I don't have an official report yet of what the officers found during the search warrant when they raided their homes yesterday. But I have word of mouth. What they found is eye-opening. So when I want some proof before I put that out there. I don't want to just spew stuff, but I want some facts. But if proven true, guys and gals, the scale and the brazenness are almost cinematic. This isn't just corruption or bribes. This is alleged direct facilitation of cartel violence and drug distribution by the Drug Enforcement Agency of the United States of America. It's almost like the, ATF running guns through Mexico, and the same gun is on scene that killed a Border Patrol agent. Sounds like a movie, but it actually happened, Fast and Furious. And at the end of the day, this case forces us to confront something uncomfortable. Sometimes the greatest threats come not from faceless criminals halfway around the world, but from the inside our institutions meant to stop them. If proven true, these are not just crimes, it's treason against the public trust. And treason is supposed to be dealt with one way and one way only. I'll be watching this case closely, and you should too, because what happens here could uncover a lot of information on cartel infiltration, money laundering, and the very nature of corruption within law enforcement at the highest levels. If you found this breakdown helpful, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and drop a comment down below. Let me know what you think. What do you think motivated someone like former deputy chief in the DEA, Paul Campo? What do you think motivated him to do this? Was it greed? Money? Disillusionment? Something else? He's retired, so he had a pretty good retirement, and I'm willing, I didn't look it up, but I'm sure his pay grade step for the for deputy chief of the division he was in, I'm sure it's very, very lucrative. I'll be reading your thoughts. And until next time, stay alert, stay informed, stay armed, and stay free, guys and gals. This is disgusting news. Let me know what you think about it down below. I'll see you on the next one. Take care.